Hi, I'm Miranda Kristofnikov and this is They Didn't Teach Me That. I've been contacted by a new teacher who's in desperate need of some advice on her big problem, time management. I've got their plea for help on this MP4 player and I'm going to play it to some experts. Let's see if they can help. I'm on my way to meet my first expert, but in the meantime, take a look at the message I received.
Hi there, my name's Vicki. I'm in desperate need of some help. Unfortunately, I'm finding my time management really tricky. I seem to get up in the morning at 6 and I'm still working at 9 o'clock at night. What on earth am I doing wrong? I try to have a social life, but at the same time I know that I need to spend more time planning my lessons and then marking the work from the lesson. As I'm getting married in July, I really need some time to try and plan my wedding, as well as hopefully keeping my boyfriend without him running away with Kylie Minogue. Please, please, can someone help me?
Well, as my first port of call, I'm on my way to deepest Lancashire to meet a head teacher called Ian Holland. Now, he's renowned for walking around the school at 5 o'clock and shooing his staff off home to make sure that they maintain a good life outside school. I reckon he's going to be great for some tips on time management. Hi, Ian.
Miranda, lovely to meet you. Welcome to Alder Grange Community and Technology School.
Thanks for sparing the time to meet with me.
No worries. I'm on a bit of a tight schedule today. Are you okay if we walk and talk at the same time?
Absolutely, lead on.
Okay, okay.
Now, I'm actually here to get some specific tips on time management for a teacher. You've won an award for helping your staff get a better work-life balance. What sort of things have you done to help that?
We spent a fair bit of time and money redesigning what was the staff room, which is now the staff lounge. Okay. So, come on in, Miranda.
This is great.
So as I was saying, when we were trying to find a way of making the life of the staff easier, one of the things that we wanted to do was use a windfall that we had in order to make a staff lounge, and this is what we did.
Now, just going back to our teacher Vicki, she's spending 13 hours a day doing her work and marking. And what key advice can you give her to sort of prioritise and cut down on that workload?
The way I get through a day is to organise my day into a whole series of slots with the intention of hitting one particular thing or a series of things inside each slot. Anything I don't get done gets left, and I focus on the important stuff rather than what's urgent.
And any tips for Vicki to achieve a better work-life balance?
It's important that she gets plenty of sleep. Right, it's such a demanding job that the only way of keeping your head above water is to be rested. So plenty of sleep is vital. Secondly, lots of exercise as well to keep everything, working well.
And what about some really concrete tips for reducing the time that she spends planning the lessons and also marking?
The first one is not to be too ambitious about what she covers in any given lesson. That she focuses on a particular and small number of outcomes linked to a wider programme of study. I still strongly believe in the idea of the diamond-shaped lesson. In other words, a very sharp focus, building on the prior learning, identifying what's coming next, developing it, and then drawing it to a conclusion, forming a unified whole, and then setting the ground for the next lesson along. In terms of marking, which is something that tends to crucify a lot of young teachers, I think, there is often the temptation to feel that they've got to mark every single piece of work and mark it so thoroughly that they're marking every single dimension of the task that's being looked at. And it is seldom necessary to do that.
What an inspirational chap. And I think the key thing I can take back to Vicki is to work smarter, not just harder. My next stop isn't very far from here. As every mother would tell you, the ultimate time manager's challenge is to juggle a busy life and look after children. And the next person I'm going to meet has got 7. You know when people say, who would play you in a movie of your life? Well, the woman I'm going to see is in the strange position of having already seen her life acted out on screen when Helena Bonham Carter played her in a TV drama called The Magnificent Seven, and her name is Jackie Jackson.
Hi,
Jackie. Hi, Miranda. Hi there. I'm here specifically on behalf of a teacher called Vicki who wants to work out how she can cope with a huge amount of work outside the classroom. I want some concrete advice from you about how you fit so much into your life.
The first thing to do is to take time out. And
how do you take time out if you've got 7 kids and you've got to look after, you've got so many things to do?
My time out is different to anybody else's time out. I've got some lavender in the bathroom. I go and smell a bit of lavender and I hold a few twinkly stones and take a few deep breaths and think, right, start again. Shush, I'm busy. Most important thing about managing your time is to know what kind of person you are and how you function best. I'm the kind of person that if I'm decorating, I paint a skirting board in one room and then I paint a ceiling in another room and then I go and put wallpaper in another room, and it's always because ongoing, you know, that's the way I function. But I'm aware of that, and I think that's the most important thing, that if you try and set yourself tasks that are out of your own character, then you get in this big panic and it all becomes quite impossible.
So identifying what sort of person you are and then just setting yourself realistic goals within that sort of parameter.
I think so, yeah.
And how do you manage to prioritise? How do you work out what tasks are the most important?
Well, the first thing is, if you're a teacher and you had a load of marking, if it was a deadline, an absolute deadline, then it's very much a case of clearing the decks and doing what you have to do. It's just a case of doing it in manageable bits. And you find that little bit of chunk of time, you work better within those 2 hours you've allocated than if you spent 10 hours doing it.
Jackie, it's fantastic advice. Thank you very, very much. You carry on with dinner, and it's been really nice to meet you and the family.
It's nice
Good luck.
to meet you too. Bye-bye.
Meeting Jackie's been really useful, but now I'm off to London to meet a lady called Hazel Bennett to see what she can recommend that Vicki does. Hazel has had 30 years teaching experience and also written a book about what they didn't teach you at Teacher Training College. I think she's got some useful advice for us.
I seem to get up in the morning at 6 and I'm still working at 9 o'clock at night. What on earth am I doing wrong?
Right.
So initial reactions about what Vicki's saying?
Well, this is something that often happens NQTs in the first year. The regime that Vicki is taking is not sustainable. There aren't enough hours in the day to spend an hour planning and an hour marking for every lesson. What Vicki has got to do is have a cut-off point in the day.
So how does a teacher fit all their work into this time if they've got to have this cut-off point?
She's got to prioritise. She's got to make sure she gets the plans in on time to the head so that he won't chase her up. If she finds she's got too many jobs to do, one thing is to write down 2 lists, one that's absolutely necessary to be done today and one that isn't, and keep with the first list, get those done.
And is this a common problem for all first-time teachers, that they feel completely snowed under with the amount of work they've got to do?
Yes, it is. The first year of teaching is probably your most difficult year ever. It's a very steep learning curve.
And what advice would you give to teachers who feel like it's just too much and they just want to give it all up?
The next year is much easier because you know the ropes, you feel more confident, and you don't have to worry about passing your induction year anymore.
And any more sort of general or practical tips?
Use commercially produced worksheets. Don't waste your own time. People have been paid to produce these, use them. Secondly, plan on the computer. When you superimpose 1 week's plan on top of a previous week's plan, there'll be things that will stay the same each week. Also, she's got to ask for last year's plans. It's silly to reinvent the wheel. If she's working in a year group with other teachers, she's got to make sure she's got a good working relationship with them. They get together, split up the planning among them, share the worksheets, and generally help each other. That cuts it down.
So working as a group is really important.
Teamwork is paramount for all areas of teaching.
And what about tips and advice for Vicki to actually get more control of her time and her life?
Well, if you've got a home to run, if you've got a family, do get in a cleaning lady at home. If you're doing a full-time job, you can't possibly do 2 jobs. Also, mark on the train. That saves you time.
And what about any resources that are available to teachers to help them with time management?
There's so many websites like Primary Resources and Top Marks. These are so time-saving.
Brilliant. Hazel, that's been fantastic and some great tips on time management. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, having got lots of tips on time management for Vicki, I've run out of time myself before I've got to meet her, so better get my skates on. Well, this is it, my last stop off. This is Vicki's school in Northamptonshire. I've squeezed all that advice and information for her onto this, and she should be waiting to see it all inside. While Vicki takes a look at that and the kids are in the hall doing PE next door, let's just remind ourselves of the advice that I've gathered for her. First, Ian Hulland told me that it was about working smarter, not harder. So Vicki should make sure she prioritises what's important, not what's urgent. He said she shouldn't be marking everything, nor should she be over-ambitious in her lesson plans. He also said that without plenty of sleep and exercise, Vicki's working time won't be spent effectively. Jackie Jackson stressed the importance of finding something that allows you to take time out and de-stress. She said that Vicki should recognise her own character type and work to it, not in spite of it. And that we should always remember that no one does their best work in a panic. Even if you're up against it, it's best to calm down before you approach an important task. Finally, Hazel Bennett told me that Vicki could be saving time by not repeating work that others have already done. Use commercially produced worksheets and last year's lesson plans, for example. She said it was important to always prioritise and establish a cut-off point. And she left Vicki with the encouraging words that the second year is always easier than the first. Vicki's just about finished. Let's see what she made of the advice. So Vicki, you're working a 13-hour day and you're trying to plan your wedding. Now, was there any advice in there that's going to be useful in this situation?
Yes, lots of things. It's been really helpful, actually. Thank you so much.
Both Ian and Hazel said that it was important that you didn't feel like you had to mark everything. Is that something you've been doing?
It is, yes. I've been writing comments, long comments, in every child's book. And sometimes, yes, it does get a bit too much.
And Hazel Bennett talked about the importance of using commercially produced worksheets. Again, is that something that you could perhaps take on board now?
Definitely, having just seen the video, I think that's a really good idea, and I won't be as ashamed in the future to actually use them.
Now, it was fascinating for me interviewing Jackie Jackson with her 7 children running around all over the place, and what a mad life that she had. But she was stressing the importance of having this me time. Is there any way that you can find the time in the day just to take time out and de-stress?
I will definitely try. If she can find the time with 7 children, then I can find the time.
Great. Ian Hulland, the head teacher, goes around his school at 5 o'clock and throws all the staff out and makes them go home. Now, is that something you'd like to see in this school?
That would be really good. But the school gets locked at 5:30, so we're nearly there, I think.
Now, when I go, are you going to be marking books or are you going to go and take a hot bath and relax?
Unfortunately, I'm going to be marking books.
Well, I'd better let you get on with it. Really good luck with the wedding.
Thank you very much indeed.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Hopefully Vicki is now better equipped to manage her time. If you want to watch this programme on your own MP4 player, you'll be able to download it as a podcast at the end of the series from the Teachers TV website. But if you can't wait until then, don't forget you can now watch and download the programme via broadband. Next time I'll be sorting out the problems of another new teacher, but until then, goodbye.